college when you're not supposed to be drinking.
Yeah, red solo cups.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, guys. Okay, this is the regular monthly meeting of the Woodbridge Board of Finance on Thursday, March 21st, 2019. And the first item on our agenda is public comments, and seeing a number of people here, we'd like to keep our comments to 2 minutes, please. So whoever would like to speak, I guess there's a sign-in sheet. And just come to the front table, identify yourself and your address.
I guess I'll
Might as
start.
well.
My name is Julia Bonazzoli. I live at 41 Tumblebrook Road. Good evening. I'm here to speak about our school budget and particularly Beecher Road School. Beginning in the fall, Beecher has an unprecedented number of kindergarten and new students entering. It also has an unprecedented number of special needs children. We need more money, not less. As a result of inadequate educational funding, our town is beginning to make very poor decisions. Most recently, our Board of Ed made a very unenlightened and wrong decision. It determined that one of our teachers, a remarkable and dedicated teacher, would not receive equitable maternity leave because she was adopting a child, not giving birth. This decision, which was antithetical to our community's commitment to family and diversity, resulted in public outrage and more negative media attention for our school. A large number of Woodbridge families have adopted children. Due to community outrage and extensive public comment, the board is reevaluating that decision, which applied an antiquated definition of maternity. I took pity on our Board of Ed. I have great respect for them. They made an unconscionable decision because of insufficient budget. In addition, we have our adored Mr. Burness, Mr. B, retiring. Mr. B was the founding father of our multi-age group teaching program known as MAG. For those unfamiliar with MAG, it is a first through fourth year program. It is a program based on active hands-on learning philosophy. It is a dynamic, synergistic approach to learning wherein grades 1 through 4 learn individually and collectively, predicated on the principle that this collaborative approach to learning produces a combined effect greater than the sum of its separate parts. It also incorporates significant humanitarian and environmental concerns into its learning routine. Kids cook to learn math. They have a vegetable garden which includes a solar-run watering system constructed by the students. MAG is why many families choose to live in Woodbridge. My younger boy is in MAG 1. My older boy is a MAG ancestor. My older son also is an honor student in advanced classes who regularly wins integrity awards and won the 8th grade integrity award. While at Beecher, my son elected to take state testing because he understood that it impacts the school's ratings and funding. He scored off the charts in certain areas, falling in that your child exceeds our boundaries and cannot be computed. My son is not a genius, but MAG teaches and motivates children to reach their fullest potential. One of our founding teachers is retiring. He has a superior intellect and has decades of experience. Our budget must allow for a suitable replacement. Additionally, we have an extreme shortage of teacher assistants. While most classes have one teacher and one TA, MAG has only one TA for all 4 grades. This is unacceptable. I realize that some of our community no longer has children in our school system. I also know with certainty that many homes in our community have three generations, so that regardless of the property owner's name, young children are attending our school. Even for those community members with no children in our school system, I would hope they care. Good schools make good communities. Bad schools make bad communities. Our school system, and particularly Beecher, is why we have young people moving in instead of out of the area. Beecher has an unprecedented number of new students and an unprecedented number of special needs students entering in fall. This town's most valuable asset is its school system. Please invest in it wisely. Thank you.
Anything else? Item 2 on the agenda is the report of our administrative officer and director of finance, Tony.
Thank you. So our monthly report through February of 2019 is a surplus of just over $800,000, which brings our fund balance to $6.15 million or 12.37%. Some revenue highlights for the month. Our interest income is projected to generate a surplus of $140,000 this year due to higher rates than we had anticipated in the budget process. Intergovernmental revenue is a surplus of $134,000, and charge for services is projected to experience a deficit of $90,000, mainly due to the shortfall of revenue from closure of the pool at the country club. So the big item here on the revenue side is the Amity surplus funds, which was $981,000. And in this projection, I reduced that by $220,000 as we have that in our budget for revenue for next year. So that drops it to $760,000. And expenditures, there is a surplus in finance due to the elimination of a payroll clerk position, which we did earlier in the year to become more efficient in finance. The library also generated a surplus of $15,000 by eliminating a bookkeeper position. In waste management, we have an increase due to recycling, which we've discussed in the past. That probably generates a deficit of $20,000 to $25,000. The outdoor pool has a surplus of about $45,000 because of the closure of the pool. So the net of the two is about a loss of $38,000. Benefits should have a surplus of about $30,000, again due to the elimination of the two positions that we discussed earlier. There's a slight surplus in debt service. And finally, the Board of Education at Beecher School, this report has a deficit of $304,000 at the end of the year, of which $50,000 comes from a special education reserve that was established last year. So the impact on the general fund is $254,000. There's a little schedule there to help you follow along. Those are the summary. I think the one you have in your packet's a little higher.
309.
309, yeah.
Any questions for Tony?
Nope, okay.
Sandy, you'll cover Board of Ed fund? Okay. Okay, funding requests. There are three. The first, and they're all, I believe they're all funding requests, not line item transfers. The first is $25,000 to fund catch basin cleaning and other vital work through June 30th. And this is requested by Warren Connors. I'll move acceptance of request for funding 1819-14 in the amount of $25,000. Tony, anything you want to just mention about
Yeah,
this?
so this is mainly for Warren to continue to do tree work and tree removal, as he has a lot of trees that are he needs to remove in the public way, and he's exceeded his budget, and so that's mainly what this is for.
Okay.
There's a lot of trees that require attention.
We've used up the budget?
We have.
He's also mentioning, though, that he's not going to do street line painting.
Correct.
Other things. So
Correct.
there's a trade-off
That's
here.
correct. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah.
Okay.
So in order, he's going to put off street line painting until next year, so that he can pay for some of it out of the budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Karen? He's not coming? No. Okay. All right, second is a request for funding to fund consulting services for the town network to assist Amity when necessary. Tony will talk about this. I'll move acceptance of request for funding 1819-15 in the amount of $3,100.
Second.
Tony?
So occasionally we have we do the lion's share of our work with Amity, and they come here once a week, and they are doing a great job. And occasionally they need assistance for certain network-related items and/or server-related items, and so we'd like to have that on hand so that when we need it, we can use it. Basically, they've used a little bit so far. We had some server issues the past few weeks that we had to resolve, and they were helpful to us. So. It's just sometimes there's assistance they need, some skill that maybe they, it's helpful to have an outside firm do.
How'd you come up with 3,100?
That's 25 hours, I believe that's what it was.
Oh, I
could do
see,
the
okay, it's
calculations.
based on
Per
an
hour.
hourly
Yeah,
charge,
yeah.
okay. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah,
Any other questions?
yeah,
All those in
that's what
favor?
it was.
Aye. And finally, a request from the fire department for shortage in their natural gas account. I'll move acceptance of request for funding 1819-16 in the amount of $5,077. Tony?
I honestly, I think the budget was probably a little too low.
Okay.
And they were at 10,000 and they've spent 14,000 in the last couple of years.
Okay.
And what will the
may have a-
balance in our contingency be?
That's a sheet here. I think it's $120,000.
I didn't see the sheet. Maybe I missed it.
120,543.
After we fund these three?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye.
And at this point, I don't think we'll have any, unless we get more snow. Shouldn't have a problem with
Can I
that.
get any more snow?
Sandy, here's my contingency sheet.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you. There's that. 'Cause I have another one from last week, so. You can have it.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have approval of minutes. The first minutes are our regular monthly meeting on Thursday, February 21st. I'll move acceptance of the minutes of February 21st as presented.
Second?
Any corrections, adjustments, anything at all?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, okay. Next is Thursday, March 7th. That was our final budget hearing, I guess, and when Scott Bassett came in. I'll move acceptance of the minutes of Thursday, March 7th, as presented.
Second? Oh, go ahead. You can do Andy.
Okay. Any corrections, adjustments, anything? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. First Selectmen's report. Beth?
Yep, thank you, Matt. We had a busy meeting last week or the week after, I can't remember. But we honored the Girl Scouts. They do projects in our town, and I think it's their 107th anniversary, so we took a nice photo with them. Just an update on to repair the Heroes Tunnel on Route 15. There was an update from the Connecticut Department of Transportation's project to repair the tunnel, and the town was invited to participate in a series of meetings that bring together the municipalities that will be affected by the DOT project. The latest update is perhaps 10 years from now, but we've been invited to weigh in now, and every couple of years we weigh in, and then they extend or bring it back, so who knows, but we'll keep you updated on that. We also had a preliminary discussion about the highway tolls and how they may have an impact on Woodbridge. I'm not really sure, but one of the selectmen asked that we talk about it, so we began a preliminary discussion on that. You'll notice on the walls up there, there's some photos of the areas in Lower Woodbridge where there's a lot of flooding. And there's over 200 homes and 200 businesses that are affected every time there's flooding, and it's gotten worse. It used to be a 100-year storm. Now it's a 10-year storm, or perhaps even sometimes it's just a heavy rain. Last September, there was a terrible storm, and a lot of people along Litchfield Turnpike were flooded. So Rosa DeLauro came out and met with us, and we're looking to the Army Corps of Engineers and perhaps federal funding to help those folks down there. Last but not least, we reviewed the Country Club property constructability report, and the selectmen requested that the developers, our two developers, come back next month to answer questions related to the constructability review. So that's on for next week, so I'll keep you posted on that. Hopefully we'll have something to propose to forward out for a townwide referendum in the near future. And I think that's everything that we talked about. Oh, I have photos from yesterday if anybody wants to see them. Oh, that's it. Just one set, sorry. And that's all.
Okay, thank you, Beth.
Well,
Liaison reports. I did not attend the Amity meeting. I've been working, unfortunately, so. But I did check, yeah, I'm a little busy. I did check with it, and there's nothing urgent went on. They're still looking for areas that they can maybe reduce their budgets even further, so that'll be in the future. I'll keep you posted on that. Paul, do you have anything?
Last police commission meeting was relatively short. We had Officer Lally sworn in. He is a former New Haven police officer servicing Westville. I'm personally familiar with him. He's a good addition to our police department. And overall, the financials are pretty steady. It was a pretty light meeting.
Okay. Tom?
Not able to attend.
Okay.
Recreation met on February 25th. Lessons at the pool are going well. The town of Orange is doing some work on their pool, so their residents are going to start using the pool at Beecher on March 1st, they already have started using it. Fitness center is going fine. They did talk about the potential of looking at the fitness center if we do look for a 3% budget cut and scaling back the number of days that it's opened as a potential area to look for savings. Outdoor facilities, the fields at Pease Road are closed, but the playground is still accessible. Triathlon. There's going to be a youth triathlon that the rec department will be running at Beecher, happening in May or June. They're getting sponsorships. The distances are going to vary depending on the children's grade. So they'll use all the facilities at Beecher, the pool. They'll bike from kind of the north parking lot to the south parking lot back and forth, and then run around the track in the fields there. So that should be good. The skating rink. So John met with Coopop, and they voted unanimously in favor of the skating rink. They're going to allow hockey at certain times. So they're looking into the next step for that, what board it has to go to for the next approval. That's about it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I went to the Library Commission meeting on March 11th, and the mini golf was a huge success. Eric didn't have numbers, but the friends told him there were many more people than the last time. So it's a very, yeah, it's a really successful venue, I think, in town and for them in terms of raising money. We talked a little bit about the HVAC project, which will actually increase the capacity for dehumidification at the library. I guess all the equipment is here. They're just waiting for the official thaw to occur so they can begin the installation. Eric is also interested in perhaps looking at a new website platform. And he gave us some examples from some other libraries. It's something that the Friends would fund, so he's not going to put that necessarily in his operation for the future. They did have a staff development day on March 19th, and the Connecticut Library Association meeting is coming up, and Eric really tries to get his staff to be able to go to the sessions there. They contribute, but they also learn. Then I attended the Woodbridge Board of Ed Finance Committee meeting on March 18th, and there is a $5,000 increase in the deficit due to increase in OT/PT services. So that number has gone up to $309,836. We did actually talk through the program budgets for the summer enrichment program, extended day, and the school lunch program. Those all seem to be in order. And there was some discussion about raising the tuition charge for pre-K to $2,000, which is still a bargain compared to some of the other programs in our area. So that was under consideration for the board.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay, next and lastly is the review of the FY '20 budget. Tony, where are we at right now? I don't know, have you incorporated those cuts that we discussed on the 7th? Are those in your figures?
I have the total, but I can tell you where we are if you'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, percentage increase, right? But I'm just, again, I'm asking the cuts that we did make on March 7th.
You're at a mill rate increase you want to go on?
Well, tax
Two,
increase,
yeah, 2.61%.
2.61.
Yeah,
Just from what we talked about at our last meeting.
that's correct.
Okay.
Which were, I think, I have them listed here, I'm gonna give you this, $462,000
Correct.
in various.
Yep.
Of course, 129 of that was Amity's,
129 was
reduction.
Amity, right?
and then the debt service was another big one that we talked about.
Right.
And that was, going with bands instead of bonds.
Correct. Yep.
And the rest of them were 20s and
In the capital,
capital, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing,
not much to the
we
operating
cut our
budget.
contingency fund 25,000, so what I did, I made up a list here of what we did on March 7th, and I also with guidance from Tony and looking item by item across the budget and looking at revenue. Tony was, of course, more helpful with the revenue ideas because he knows what's, for example, interest income. He thinks he can generate more. And then I went through, I pretty much went through, and he also suggested that we take 300,000 of the Amity surplus to pre-K capital. So I'm gonna pass these out. Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So
You want one?
include that? Looking at like a 0% increase for those departments that had not come forward with a 0%? Or did Tony take a look at that separately?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, these.
So we'll do this sequentially?
yeah.
Okay.
And again, these are just, these are just ideas that I came up with and just ran them by Tony. And Tony, of course, incorporated some of his own ideas. So this will get us down to, I believe,
This will get us to
like 1%,
0.99%.
0.99%. Okay.
What's on this sheet?
Correct.
Yeah, in other words, we've already done the 462, 864.
Right.
These cuts, oh, there's cuts and increases, 752 more. Okay. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of little ones. I don't know how you want to do this. There's no sense in going through department. We'll just, these are department by department, okay? So,
I could comment on some of the capital, the two
yeah, go ahead.
capital
Why
ones
don't you,
at the
talk
top.
about the capital.
So the first capital one is the Beecher HVAC project. And so this is just funded between 2 fiscal years. So part of it's funded in this year, part of it's funded in next year. And so there was just a little give and take there, but the total hasn't changed.
So you moved money from this year to next year? Or
Right.
you did the revert?
Yeah,
You-
fair, that's right.
Or you're paying more in this year?
Paying more next year,
Next year?
yeah.
Okay,
Which is why, in
It's
this
a
schedule, a
negative.
negative is
Okay.
an addition.
It's in
Got
addition to the HVAC.
Right.
okay,
But the total's the same. It's just the timing of the project. That's all.
okay.
Okay.
I mean, I would appreciate it if we could go down this list. I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah, oh yeah, we're
important.
gonna, every
Okay.
single one.
Good, okay.
But like, now the human
The
services.
Human Services
van.
van, right, so that's, one that we're looking for a grant, and, so it's an 80-20 grant. So, we looked into that, we had Sheila look and did some research on it, and, in fact, we could put 20% in this year. The grant is not announced until next spring anyway, so, we, could fund the 20% this year, and then if for some reason we don't get the grant, you could just fund the remaining 80% in the following year. So that, no, that's the,
No, that's the
Human
Human
Services
Services.
van.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay.
I
That's
guess
very clever.
There's a grant, there,
I like that.
Sheila's think she found a grant?
She works, Mary Ellen has applied for it the last time,
Yeah.
so Sheila's working with Mary Ellen, and they're gonna apply again.
Okay.
We received it last time, so we're hopeful.
Okay, why don't you explain this Amity surplus?
The
that we
Amity
talked about?
surplus is, what we would use then to sort of prepay items in the capital budget. And, then, therefore, they would be removed from the capital budget because we're gonna prepay them.
So we haven't decided which ones.
Not which
but
one,
just
I know.
saying from a conceptual perspective.
Yeah, we're gonna move,
Okay.
we're gonna move 300,000
Okay,
Right,
that's great.
of the Amity surplus.
Thank you.
Yep.
I think it's a really good idea.
yeah.
All right, then as far as the rest, we just went through budget by budget. Town clerk, we removed 3450, which is,
That's,
capital
Right,
items.
right.
But again, we're gonna, I believe,
some of these we're gonna,
right, we're gonna have, if we don't get a blizzard, we're gonna have some money left over in our, what are we at?
Yeah.
What are we?
120?
About 120.
yeah,
Yeah.
correct, that's
So,
right. Yeah, so that's what some of
Assuming
these
there's
could be.
no, right, assuming there's no, that would be the major hit. Those,
Uh-huh.
You know, of
Right.
course, they always come on the weekends and after 4 o'clock when, so. But there's a lot of towns that are completely out of funds for snow removal, so we've done okay. General professional services in the town clerk, 500. Again, it's, and then conferences, we removed 1,000. Okay. Government access TV, $1,000 for general professional services. The computers that we did that last time. Tax collector conferences, 1,000. I think at one point, Sandy, we talked about all conferences should be
Right,
reviewed and approved on,
right.
so.
So this sort of goes
We
towards
kinda,
that.
yeah, we
Okay.
kinda
Yeah.
took them out.
Okay.
Tax assessor, general professional services, 500. Training, 500. Assessment appeals, that was last time. Board of Finance, 25,000. That was last time. And again, I think once when, any idea when the contracts would be settled?
Not at this point, no.
No, okay.
No.
Board of Finance, printing 1,000 we took out. 10,000 planning and zoning we talked about last time. All right, Country Club of Woodbridge. What this is, this is one of my pet projects. This is if we abandon the building, or
Right.
abandon the,
We talked about this at the budget hearing.
right. I mean, we're heating it, 21,000 in electricity, 15,000 in heat. Water and sewer, 6,000. All these things are for what? For what?
Does this take the budget down to 0?
Correct. No, except for the
Except for,
maintenance and
yeah, there's
stuff.
certain things, right, but
Grounds
basically,
maintenance is
right.
still in there and stuff.
we're heating what? We're electricity for what? We'll do what we have to do, but I think we should abandon the,
Now, then our insurance goes up.
Right,
though.
that's the 15,000 there. See the ad?
Oh, I see, the
Yeah.
ad. Okay.
So if you net the two, it's a little over $40,000
Okay.
in reduct savings, right?
Okay.
so it becomes an issue of, do we want to keep heating it and powering it and providing water? It's a waste of money, it really is. So that's that. So that covers, that's the 15,000 for insurance, an increase. Police overtime, we did that last time, as well as machinery and equipment, operating capital. And fire, we took another 2,800 from capital, operating capital.
Again, this is an item that you can review when there's
Yeah.
contingency.
Yeah.
You can
We're gonna certainly have money, right,
prioritize
we're
which
gonna
ones you think
certainly-
are important.
We're gonna
Yeah.
certainly have some money available from this year's budget to pay for some of these things. Buyback sick, what was?
I could tell you the
I'm
next
trying-
two, these were
Yeah,
mine.
that was- I don't
So we have
remember
a
those, yeah.
vacancy in that department, or we're going to have one soon, so there's, the person, Amy, who was there now is leaving and going to another job.
Really?
Yep. So,
Secretary, I didn't know that. No.
that's why I think it'll impact these, and the
Okay.
buyback sick you won't need, and
Yeah.
so.
Why don't you explain regional services too, because that one I wasn't quite sure of.
Oh, that's animal control.
Right,
Yeah, so basically the animal control budget, there's a few areas we can reduce in some of the supply accounts
Okay.
to help.
Public Works, you reviewed, I know you've reviewed all the electricity in town.
Right.
So you're comfortable with that?
Yep. We're also doing a townwide LED program, which will help in some of these.
Okay. And legal ads in human services, car allowance in human services, programs in human services. It's a total of $1,800, okay? Recreation, part-time seasonal, I think we had talked about that.
Yep, and you mentioned it in your report. That's the.
Supplies in the Parks Department, 1,000, and Tony, you were comfortable with reducing workman's comp by 5.
Yep.
Okay.
And the health insurance in the police department by 11.
Okay.
That's a lot of that's due to some turnover in staff. If someone leaves and their family and someone comes on and they're.
And Police Department Health, 11,000?
Yeah, that's there was staff to,
Right.
we just mentioned one in in your report. So when you change the mix, sometimes it's favorable.
Yeah, 107,000 in debt service, which we talked about last time, would be strictly,
To roll notes for one more year. Instead of,
which, in as much as we're trying to develop it or sell it or whatever, I guess
Right.
they'd be agreeable to that.
that we're,
The state
the state has to
Right,
agree to
right,
it,
right.
right?
And that's coming, right? We're still
We're
working
hoping.
on it?
We're working on it.
Okay. Amity, that's the reduction. Okay, Woodbridge Board of Ed, I think we decided on, what, 3.99%? Is that what that represents?
This is 3.61,
6.1,
yeah.
which would still be a higher increase than any of our neighbors, or Amity certainly, so that's a cut of 317,649.
And what does that still represent? It's over $500,000 that we're still giving them,
Oh,
right?
Well, it was 850,
I'll tell you in a
so
second.
it would be
Yeah.
533.
So let's just get these in.
Right.
Why don't you talk about these revenue items, Tom?
Okay. The first is transfer station fees. That's just a calculation on the scale is moving along. We're hopeful to have that in. Our goal is to have the scale in at the transfer station by June 1st. Give it a month to work through the processes and have it sort of launch on July 1st. And based on what we're seeing other towns charge for the haulers, I'm comfortable adding that to our revenue for that.
Okay.
The second one, building permits, that's an constantly evolving item, and as the revenues come in, I was able to adjust that.
Okay.
We're doing pretty good there. And same with interest income.
Are you basing the interest income on current, because it doesn't look like they're raising rates anymore?
No, it's on current. I
Okay.
never.
So if the rates stay as they are?
Right.
Okay.
And it gives a little bit of flexibility if the rates drop a little.
Okay, good.
I would never project where I think they're gonna go.
And education cost sharing, is that an estimate?
That's the governor's suggested cut from our existing grant is 42,137. Now, the one item that is not in here
Mm-hmm.
is the town's possible contribution to teachers' pension, which is about 92,000. That's the only item that I did not put in here. That's a risk. It could happen,
Well, it's an unpopular
but it's,
proposal by our governor, but I don't know.
so that's a risk you take if you don't put it in here.
Ours is 92, can you imagine what New Haven's is? Or Bridgeport, or any town, in Amity.
And I believe this includes, I believe, it depends on which proposal, but I think this one includes, we pay a portion, the regional portion. But
Yeah.
Amity wouldn't have a,
Oh, they wouldn't affect their budget?
Right.
So it would add to that 92.
right, that includes, I think that includes Amity.
Oh, the 92?
Yeah,
All right.
I believe so,
Well, hopefully it doesn't happen.
right.
Okay. So, go ahead.
If it does, it'll be a revenue shortfall.
So I'd like to go back, because we have a big audience here, and go back to the origin of the 3.61%. And I'd also like to understand if we received any new information from Beecher to help us understand what's in this 3.61%.
Nothing written.
So you have nothing written, but
No.
this number came from our last meeting?
Right.
Okay, where we basically said if we take all the budgets and we say, let's look at what we are contractually obligated to pay. So for Beecher, that is the salary increases, the benefits, the out-of-district special education. That's what this 3.61% represents? Is that everybody's understanding?
I don't know.
Or we're just taking this from what the superintendent gave us at our last meeting? That's what we're doing?
Right.
Okay. But we didn't get any numbers that show us the actual salary increase,
No.
the benefit increase, the special education increase. This is just the percentage number applied. So we're basically then saying that we're gonna take them to zero, add back in our contractual obligations, just like we're doing for the rest of the departments, and keeping that as what the budget increase is.
And let's not forget that we have to somehow cover a $309,000, I mean,
I
again,
don't
we don't have,
disagree.
we don't have another budget in this town where they're allowed to overspend their budget. And here we have Beecher overspending their budget by, at this point, 309. Who knows? And this is something we've got to address. We can't do a budget and then suddenly find ourselves the following year that one department has overspent their budget by $300,000. It's not the way budgets work. You have to live within your budget, or we have to go to a town meeting or something. I mean, you just can't
Right.
spend and, oh, but here you go, pay this.
Right. But I think that we do need to clarify that there's a portion of that is special education.
All right.
And then the other large portion has to do with the facility issues that came up.
Right.
So that were not in their budget. So special ed is basically, 208,000 of the 309. And then most of the rest of it is basically from the facilities issues. The report that had been commissioned, the repairs that had to be taken.
It's 130, is that what it is, Tony? I'm sorry, the construction.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this
90.
is not the
I'm
construction
sorry.
they're gonna
No,
pay
no.
for. These
No,
are
no.
for
Oh, okay.
right now,
these are other items.
incurred expenses. This is
Okay.
not basically
Okay.
that part. So it's about
Okay.
100,000 related to the Van Zelm report and all the other issues
Correct.
of things that needed to be repaired,
Correct,
that are repaired already.
correct.
So that's the origin of that.
But we're lucky to have a fund balance, we're lucky to have this money from Amity that I
Oh,
fought
absolutely.
valiantly for. And we can't have this happen every year. I mean, it just
I'm-
doesn't happen this
I
way.
am not disagreeing. I'm just clarifying where this actually
Right,
comes from.
right.
So can I ask Tony, how many departments did we actually get to zero or less?
I could tell you.
And obviously, the other town departments don't have salary increases in them. That's actually in our
That's
contingency.
in ours, right.
I mean, police and fire had, I think, and waste management, the highest increases
Yeah.
that were left.
1, 22, 23.
So it's the same number. So we didn't get anybody else to zero.
Is that what it was last time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Between
Most
what?
of them were zero anyway.
Correct. There were 19 we started out with, and then after the Board of Selectmen made their changes to the operational budget,
Right.
it added another 4, which took us to 23.
Right.
So of the remaining ones that were above zero, the highest ones were information systems,
Right.
police, fire, and animal control.
Police is now at 0.
Police is at 0.
Yeah.
Oh,
But and what happened was police went to 0, but general admin went above 0 because of the add of the 15,000 for the
Oh, I
country
see.
club.
okay. Okay.
So that's
Got
why
it.
the number didn't
Got it.
change.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, same number. And you don't feel like there's any other way to bring these other departments closer to zero?
I mean, you could.
I mean, like, you're not talking about debt service.
No,
You just can't do debt
I'm
service.
talking
Talking
about,
about,
okay, so Fire is still
Fi-
high.
Yeah, so fire is at, yeah,
Is the radio system still in there?
yes.
That may be part of, we have.
So if you take that out,
Okay.
Take that out, I don't know how
I'll
much
tell you
it
what it
goes
is in a
to, but
second.
that's in their budget and it's not really them. Yeah, either way, we have to pay for it. Whoever budgets.
You could move it to another department
Yeah.
if the money's not going.
But it has to be
Make them
there.
go up,
Yeah, okay,
right?
okay,
if you take that out, they're at 1.16%.
okay. That's fine. That explains that reason then.
Right.
Okay. And
Other
through
one is,
those. There was information systems.
right. A lot of those are contractual, software programs.
Mm-hmm,
That's what most of that is.
okay.
What's that at, Tony? Is that,
Information systems,
because we took out 5,000,
at 3.3,
3.3,
37, yeah.
3 point what?
3.37.
Tax
Right.
collector,
If you
we
take-
knocked them down, right?
I just want to make sure that we're being equitable in terms of how we're approaching this. And,
Well, I mean,
and the impetus came from the fact that we had so many departments who came in at 0 or less than 0.
Yeah.
So the question was, we should apply those same standards to the other departments. And that's what you spent the time doing. Okay. And then basically, we are trying to apply that same standard to the Board of Ed. So we are at what percentage increase? And then
For which?
if we did all of these, if we're at 1.215820,
Okay. The, I can give you the increases. The amount to be raised by taxes, the increase is 1.41%.
okay,
And then once you apply the grand list, which is up a little under 0.5%, the mill rate increase is 0.99%.
okay,
So that's what folks would actually see in their
Yeah,
tax
that's their
bill.
tax increase.
okay.
right.
So the total amount of taxes you're raising is up 1.4%, but you're
Yes.
spreading it amongst more value, so as a
Right.
result,
Right,
yeah.
right, okay.
Dollar wise? 0.42.
0.42.
This declined 0.42%?
No, increased
Increase.
0.42%, a little tiny bit.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've sort of surveying a lot of other towns, and there's, some towns with 2-3% increases in their grand list.
That'll never happen. Well, it'll happen if,
Yeah. That helps,
that'll help.
it helps
Trying.
everybody.
I know you are, Beth. So anybody else have comments? Again, these are just things that we threw together and went through one by one to try to accomplish what Sandy is talking about here, to get everybody down to 0. Of course, when we do,
As close to 0 as possible.
of course, when we allocate the money for the salary increases, they're gonna go up, but that's what we're talking about.
Right, right.
So, any other comments?
Pardon?
The contracts for,
The contract expired June 30th. Last time we had contract negotiations, we went a year and a half past the expiration date. So it all depends. Sometimes it takes a while.
And who exactly does, just so everybody knows, who does this cover, these negotiations?
The, we have 2 unions that we negotiate with. One is police.
Right.
The other is, all the other unionized
other-
positions,
all
which
other
is public works, clerical, dispatchers, animal control, thank you. And then there's and the non-union, employees generally follow after that.
Okay. So again, if you consider, not to bring up a sore subject, country club. what that would do if we were able to pay the debt down and generate, I mean, the revenue's gonna take a while to realize. It's not, we're not gonna have it in there in 1 year, but we'll see.
But that would definitely help.
Oh, a lot.
But the proposal with the country club to abandon it, that's not our call.
That's Board of Selectmen, I'd say.
But what you're suggesting here is just to basically zero out the budget.
Right.
With the, if we zero out the budget, then it basically have to abandon it.
Oh, yeah, this is predicated on the Board of Selectmen abandoning it.
Right.
Why is the electricity, what do we use for electricity there? We don't air condition it, do we?
No.
Exit lights, and there's
The
lights
pump
in
station.
the parking lot, the
pump
pump
The
station.
pump station up on,
Yeah.
and also the,
So,
the
But-
pumps that pump the,
I know, what are they pumping?
what's that?
What are we pumping? Why would those pumps be?
Well, not much now, but
Yeah,
we've cut back a lot
that's the
of
one
that.
pump, because the other one failed, right?
Right.
Right.
Any idea what the cost is gonna be to abandon it? Because you
Not
have to
yet.
protect the pool,
No,
Right.
not yet. We're working on that.
either cover it.
There'll be
fence
some
it.
cost to abandon it, but,
It's covered now.
otherwise we have to fix, we have some issues we have to fix. So either we have to,
Like what?
well, the pump station
Oh,
needs
yeah,
some work.
Yeah,
You know,
the water tank's always
the
been an
water
issue.
tank's an
They
issue,
could
yeah,
fail at any time.
so we have some issues.
Anybody else?
No, I just think it's unfortunate that we didn't get any more specific numbers from the Board of Ed, because that really would have helped us understand, specific impacts. The way it was presented to us, it combined everything. So it was very difficult to pull out what the contractual obligations were. But if we don't have any detailed information, there's nothing for us to kind of review and say, well, maybe that's a little too steep,
Yeah.
or not.
Anybody else? No? We want to vote on this?
It's up to you.
So did we have a formal vote on the 480,
No.
460? We never had.
No, we did
So then we
not.
got to vote on the full 1.2 million.
Right.
Okay.
I could, and if you want, I could just tell you the total expenses. But, I'll read the numbers.
Go ahead.
And then, so the total expenditures is 50,295,683.
That's expenditures.
Yep.
Okay.
Non-tax revenues is 3,341,415,
3,341,415.
correct?
Okay.
Amount to be raised by taxes is 46,954,268,
Okay.
and the mill rate is 40.23.
40.2.
And you hit it.
40.2.
Yeah, we hit the 40 mark.
And we're not having a party.
Again, the 3,341,415 is what? Non-tax
Non-tax revenues.
revenues. Okay. Expenditures. Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve a budget to be sent to the budget hearing on April 22nd,
Second, yep.
which will reflect expenses of $50,295,683, non-tax revenues of $3,341,415, amount to be raised by taxes, $46,954,268, with a mill rate of 40.23.
That's it.
Would anybody like to second that?
I will second it.
Okay, discussion. Nothing? All those in favor? Aye? Okay. On to the budget hearing. And with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Listen, I'm talking me.